First of all, my reservation then about the tax reform bill uh, was based on the fact there wasn't any wide consultation, and as a parliament, a representative of the people who should have been consulted. Other the segment of the polity were not also consulted. Particularly, you recall the position of the governors. They were not consulted, and this was rashly pushed in the public arena, and I objected to it. And basically, because of the huge uproar, not only from the northern perspective, but across the country, there were a lot of reservation as to the hasty manner in which a very important bill like tax reform is being pushed. Remember, tax is a global phenomenon, and it is campaign issues all across the developed countries. My position then was, if that is so, why wouldn't you just take your time, consult more, and negotiate more? And at the end of the day, we have a tax reform that is a Nigerian tax reform, a tax reform that is acceptable to the needs and crannies of this country. Over the last few weeks, after the introduction of the tax reform, you could see that where the tax reform we're having a public hearing on has drastically been changed to the tax reform that's what Nigeria actually needs. But having said that, you are all living witnesses to what happened at the public hearing yesterday. The tax reform has taken a national dimension. There were reservations uh, in quite a number of clauses that has to do with state fund, that has to do with the VAT, that has to do with the increment of tax, and so on and so forth. So, and me, I'm delighted as a member of the committee that the tax reform has assumed a Nigerian dimension. It has not actually taken the north-south dichotomy. You also heard clearly from the perspective of the Sharia group who came and actually dwell on the inheritance. I also align with them because, as a matter of fact, once there is a prescribed position by the Quran or the Hadith, nobody violates that. And I'm sure the measure has sunk in, and so on and so forth. But the way the public hearing was managed is excellent. The chairman was on top of the issues, and Nigerians have been given time to say what they wanted to say without any inhibition, without any intimidation. And I will call on other Nigerians who have anything to say to come forward today so that we'll continue to do this thing. For me, what is important is what is good for the polity, what is good for the citizens. How do we develop our democracy? How do we develop our country? We have seen countries that came before us develop faster than we are. We have seen Ghana, we have seen Rwanda, Egypt now, South Africa. These are countries that shouldn't have been compared to us. We are the leader in this continent, and we must show by our deeds and action that indeed we are the power of Africa and that we must lead. And leading means we must do what is necessary to push the country forward.
Sir, thank you, sir. The early pushback to these particular bills were fears that they would erode the economy of the northern part of this country. Is there anything that has changed in these bills that is now bringing about a new acceptance?
No. You see, a lot of things are actually misrepresented. There was no objection from the northern group on the introduction of the bill. The first point of reservations were, of course, from the governors. And these governors are 36 governors. All of them came together and say, this is a bill that we have serious reservation. And from there, some of us took the initiative to read the bill and ask experts about what the bill intends to achieve. We came to conclusion then was the consumption. It is not only in the north that consume the battable products. It is all over the country. The beneficiaries of the original bill are actually Lagos, maybe Ondo, part of Kano, part of River. These are the 4 states that would have had a sufficient benefit. Other states decided to keep quiet, but we cannot keep quiet when we see things that will be very detrimental to our people. And that's why we represent people. That's why we came.
Let me quickly remind you,
Yeah.
the governor of your state and the governor of Borno State both were very vehemently kicking against this particular bill. What has changed?
What I'm saying is what is before us. Without them, and you must commend them for coming out to say they don't agree. Yes, they are from the northeast, but this thing affects almost 32 states. Some governors decided to keep quiet. But at the end of the day, their position, the 2 positions of Governor Zulum and Bala Mohammed, was actually negotiated by the federal government, and which necessitated the governors to come forward with a single stand. It is the stand of those governors across the state that gave us the added impetus to now say, okay, it's good enough to have a public hearing. Let's hear our Nigerians. Let people not go and begin to murmur inside their rooms. This is an opportunity, and we are looking at it, and I hope the media will follow it step after step. At the end of the day, what we want is a fair distribution and equitable distribution of wealth.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Everyone that had made the presentation, we are going to consider everything on its own merit. We are not particularly looking at which organization or which entity presents, but what is going to be acceptable to all Nigerians, what is going to be acceptable to all regions of this country. Because what we are trying to do is to present a law that is workable. And when you look at advanced economies, Mr. President has said that he wants to see Nigeria having a $1 trillion economy. And this is the beginning of it. And for us to do it, we must do it in a way that is not only during the term of Mr. President. Mr. President is only going to stay for likely 8 years. And after 8 years, there will be another government. So we want a law that will, outlive anybody that is there. Even us that we are making the law, at the end of the day, we are going to be the ones also that will have to follow what we have led. So I think it's not about who presents, it's about what Nigerians will see as a true reflection of what it should be.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. And good morning.